So I actually did that just for my noise test to make sure that my microphone was working properly. But then I was going through and I'm just like, ha! I'm a jazz musician. So here we are, round 2. This is a second video that I've made. We have successfully made a thing again. I'm rather surprised with myself, rather happy, and I'm saying this 30 seconds in, and I've got like 14 more minutes to go, so I'm just gonna have to ride this peak for a little bit. So anyways, right now I'm staring at a Microsoft Word document of just as I was going through this week of things that I did that I thought like, hey, why don't I talk about it, so I kind of have a record for this afterwards. And so I'm gonna just kind of go down this list and see how it works. What we're looking at is a video of, I think it was actually this morning, possibly yesterday morning. I did a Pudge game, and for the most part it went well. There's definitely some hooks here that are off, so don't judge me too much. But I ended up getting commended after this, so I guess that means I did something right, or not. I think people just commend me randomly sometimes. They're just like, the dude has a mic, go him. Also, did I buy Soul Ring? Okay. Buying Soul Ring here was a mistake. I never use Soul Ring past the first 5 minutes. If you're ever with me and I buy Soul Ring, say, Isaac, you never use Soul Ring after the first 5 minutes. And I'll know what you're talking about. So anyways, during the summer sale, before I moved out, actually a game that I picked up was Prey, and I was really looking forward to starting, because I really enjoyed the Deus Ex games, and they were inspired by the, oh lord, System Shock 2, I believe is, which was made by Looking Glass Studios, and Prey was actually made by people who were ex Looking Glass Studio people, so I was actually really excited to get into it. I only played, I swear, it's like 10 or 15, or at most a half an hour of that game. It wasn't quite clicking with me, but I saw stuff later down the line when I was watching people play it, and that looked really fun and something that I would really enjoy. So I guess that's one of those things that I kind of have to just put on the back burner and say, I need to be really desperate. But when I'm desperate, I'll have the motivation to stay with this game and play it for like 4 hours when I'm not really enjoying it, and then I'll get to some content that I really like, which is sometimes a bit of an ask, but I might have some free time coming up this next semester, so who knows, maybe when I revisit it, it'll be a good time. I also played a lot of Dota 2 this week, probably too much Dota 2. I'm gonna get to a game I was playing later, but it was definitely the case of like, I hit the thing where I'm like, I think I'm just hitting this Q button because I feel like that this is what Isaac's supposed to do with his free time, of like, I'm productive, I do things, I get my schoolwork done, and then when I have free time, I just play a little bit of Dota and stuff like that. And then I've kind of like hit that point of where like, now that I moved out, I have like more free time than I thought I would have, or like internally more free time than I thought I would have, but I think I'm having as much free time as I thought I would have, if I'm being realistic about it. It's just like one of those like thinking about it and then the realization of it actually coming up with you, right? So that strategy doesn't really work anymore. Because like previously I was kind of like working a full day, coming home, doing some things, and only having like an hour left before bed, and so I'm just like, okay, I'll do some Dota. Now I come home and I can play like 2 games of Dota, and that would be the point when I'd be arriving at my home. So I kind of need to be a little more intentional and purposeful with my time. But what was really awesome this week was that there was actually a ton of situations where I was just sitting here at my desk, maybe doing something. And then a couple of different people would message me and just be like, hey dude, let's do a Dota game. And that was actually really fun. Cause then it, like, in that point, I kind of feel like it's transcending Dota, of like, the game does matter, but the game kind of doesn't matter. Right, of like, when I think back of the times when I was playing TF2 a lot, I don't think the amount of time that I hung out with those people and the kind of social bonds that grew there would have happened if the game wasn't TF2 that I was playing, because that's what everybody, like, that was a common interest and it drew people there. But while people were there, they weren't really there for TF2. They were there for the group. And so I definitely had some moments this week where I think that was the case, and that was really fun and exciting. And who knows, maybe that'll happen more this weekend. I also played a lot of Guild Wars 2. So I was really happy with myself. I'm decently far with the map completion. I was telling people 75% because internally Isaac was like, I think he's at 75%. And then that's one of the things of like, I was booting up Guild Wars 2 for the first time, I think this year. And I'm like, I'm really hoping this is not just like 54%. And I've just been like emasculating myself, with how much world map completion I have in an MMO that I'm the only one that plays. Turns out I had like 78%, so it's actually pretty close, and I had like load balled it a little bit. But then I was pretty active these past 2 days, and I'm already at 84%. Just because I had a bunch of zones that I had like partially completed but not fully completed, so I kind of just like went through it. I am going. We'll see. I might hit 90%. I'll probably hit 90% by the end of next week, if not more, and so that'll be interesting. I'm really excited to 100% that game because I think at this point, when it comes to Guild Wars 2, this is not something that I look at myself playing like 3 months from now. But I'm 84% done. That would just feel so half-hearted just to leave it there and not to complete it. That'd be like such a shame, because it's probably hundreds of hours I put into it at this point, and so just arbitrarily having that title, I think, would be a fun thing to have. So that is one thing I'm looking forward to in the future. I'll probably get that done before the summer is over. And honestly, that was like really all that I did in video games this week, which was a decent amount, but also not that like crazy or diverse. Though there is a Dota 2 tournament going on right now called Beyond the Summit, and what's really cool about it is that I think it's in California, they just rent a house and they just have everybody in the house. And so when you look at the stream, they've got the 4 people, like 2 to 4 casters just sitting on a couch downstairs, and then like the people are just like upstairs in the apartment, or sorry, in the house. They're just like upstairs and downstairs. They have 2 rooms that are networked so they can do a local LAN. And so then things like happen, like after the game is over, like the dudes will just come down in the couch and like cast the next game or things like that. And it's really given me some insights into the meta, or at least at their level. I played Dota 2 Turbo so much that I'm not quite sure how much that relates to normal Dota. We'll have to see though. Seeing about things that we'll have to see. So I actually downloaded a new audiobook this week, because I canceled my Audible subscription before I did it. They're like, hey, yo, wait, you got an extra credit to use. And I'm like, okay, I'll use that credit. And I was watching some special effects / film critiques for the new Hobbit movies. And it just really made me be like, I really like the original Lord of the Rings movies. They're so good. So I went and I bought / downloaded the Fellowship of the Rings audiobook, and that is something that I'm gonna need to pick a time and a place to get the most out of that. But when I do, that's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna look forward to that. The other reason, and the reason why I was actually canceling my audio subscription, is that I originally got my Audible subscription because Amazon was like, you get a free credit if you sign up for an account. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Surely they'll ask me to confirm before they start the weekly billing. No, they didn't, and they just started billing me weekly. So I guess, okay, I'm an Audible subscriber now. But so the first thing that I got actually was a book called The Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson. And it's basically a psychology textbook, which is not easy listening. So I still have like 20 hours left of that book, and that is a long time. Ooh, look at that hook, so nasty. Like I have 20 hours left in that book, and that's going to be a long 20 hours. That's going to be something I'm going to have to revisit as well. Because it's like, I know like at the beginning of this year, I heard an album, oh Lord, I can remember this. I have the picture in my head, chapter 3, The Great American Game. It's about communicating with people. Okay, anyways, I'm blanking. I'm just going to move on from this. I was listening to some poetry from an artist called Levi the Poet, and I really enjoyed it. And like that was all I listened to at the beginning of this year. And I actually really don't listen to it that much at all. And so I think the psychology something is kind of something that's kind of come and go in waves as well. But so that was basically a psychology textbook that I got, which was why, since it's a textbook, is why it was a little dense and kind of hard to read. When you're listening to something and the reader is like refer to figure A in the PDF, I'm like, ooh, I don't have the PDF because it's a freaking audiobook. But Go Isaac, Audible subscribed me for their monthly subscription, so I had a chance to buy another audiobook. So I picked up the other book from this guy, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, a map from Order and Chaos. Rules for Order and Chaos? I don't know, something like that. And so I actually finished that this week, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I think there's a lot of good things in that book. I also, near the end of it, I had to kind of be careful and like check myself of confirmation bias. I think was happening to me a lot in that book. And just a quick synopsis if you're not familiar with that. Confirmation bias is basically people, you're somebody, right? You need a fact to back something up. And so like when you're in the academic world, most people understand that. Nobody's just going to arbitrarily be like, cows jump over the moon, so theoretically cows are the greatest animals because other animals can't survive in space because cows can jump over the moon. There's no factual, but I kind of back this statement up, so I win. What confirmation bias is it's kind of the academic straw man version of that. Of basically you find one fact that supports your argument, or not even just one fact, you just find a series of facts that support your argument, and they can be very legitimate facts that are true and like have reason to them. The thing is though, you just hear those things and you're like, that's it. This proves my point, I'm right. And then you kind of stop there and you don't do your due diligence in investigating. And I feel like this was happening with this book a bit. It would talk about these things of like, these things produce disorder in people's life or like emotional distress. And I'm like, yeah, look at the people who live that way. I am validated in thinking my thoughts about this, which isn't good. Because then I really liked the book and I was going and trying to explain it to other people. And I was having a really hard time doing it, which means that I didn't really understand the material. And that it was kind of just entering at me at a surface level. So that's not good. But that doesn't mean that what I was learning wasn't good or that not good things could come from it. I just need to be careful with my words and not to pretend that I know more than I do. I also had a good time. Off the cuff, I was invited to go see a movie, Equalizer 2. That was really good. It reminded me a lot of the Book of Eli, which may just be because like Denzel Washington is kind of like, maybe he plays the guy of like Johnny Depp, of he's always that guy in the movie. I was trying to look for greater themes in the movie, and I think they did a good job of foreshadowing things without just like doing senseless symbolism and imagery in there. There were some things in the movie that seemed interesting to me. For example, Eli, the good people the good people in that movie are well read and read literature. That said, a lot of the literature they also had them read was things that were like were very much of like understanding your place in society, and what oppression actually is were the focus of a lot of books that the main character and his supporting cast were listening to. So I don't know, and I tried to see see if the movie is making an argument for like people who are educated versus people who aren't, because if you're listening to the main characters, they're just making an argument of their responsibilities versus what they aren't responsible for, or like ultimately what the movie is saying is that you have the ability to change. Just because somebody else decided your starting point doesn't mean you get to decide your ending point. And that's what the movie tells you. And I was looking for things deeper than that. And I didn't actually see it, but I would really like to watch the movie again. It was a good movie. It was a fun movie. So that was a pleasant surprise. Mission Impossible X Infinity movie is coming out this week or so. I don't think I'm going to be interested in watching that, because I've watched all the Mission Impossible movies up so far, and I can't tell you anything about them. Just that that dude who's a big Scientologist is in the movies. I heard Christian Bale? No. Okay, I can't remember. Anyways, also some things that I did this week that made me happy. I went furniture shopping. I bought furniture, and it's coming. I'm excited. That went well. I also bought a new mouse pad. I had like my old mouse pad for like so long. This one's really big. I was disappointed. The picture showed me they would go underneath my keyboard, like it would cover the entirety of my desk. That is not the case, but it only cost me $20, so I guess that makes sense. I also changed my address, which makes me happy. I haven't gotten any mail though. I've just gotten other people's mail. But now I get a picture when other people's mail is sent to me. That's awesome. I'm like, I know what's coming. I also got a lot of things to organize my space. I got a free dresser from somebody. That was awesome. I got a knife drawer organizer. So now my kitchen is pretty much organized how I want. Like I can move things, like I guess when I say that, it's not like everything's in its perfect position. I just want to have the ability to organize things, which is really good. Which makes me feel good about next week. And I hope that things go well. That's pretty much the main things that happened to this week that I'm going to talk about for now. So have a good one.
Maybe you should come with me. You just play your song and I'll accompany. Always know the greatest things in life are free, so I invested my money in your company. Like where you wanna go, girl, I'll take you there. Let me put another flower in your hair. When I'm with you, I can't even have a care. Take all of my soul, I'm not afraid to share.